Radhe Radhe Swamiji.
Radhe Radhe.
So this actually is a question my daughter keeps asking me. So we try to immerse our kids into the stories Ramayana and Mahabharata. Ram, obviously he's known as Maryada Purushottam. So a very ideal person to follow, and he has lived by the example. He lets Sita go to forest on her own when she is pregnant actually. So how is this justice? So this is a question my daughter keeps asking, and I never was not able to give a convincing answer to her. So what is your take on that?
When God did his pastimes, he had many perspectives in mind. Life is not so simple. This is my duty, this is dharma, that is adharma. If it was so simple, then there would not be a big subject of philosophy with ethics. What is ethics? Let us say that you are carrying a patient who needs to go to the hospital quickly, and the traffic is going slow. Do you have the right to break the rules, go onto the side road, jump all the traffic and go ahead? Is that justified? Is it not? It's a question of ethics. If you are putting the life of others in danger by doing this, is it justified? Is it not? It's a question of ethics. Right? So ethics is always a complicated subject. We want simple answers. In this case, Ram was displaying a variety of dharmas. On one side, to protect Sita, he walked all the way thousands of miles. He started off a whole army to win her back. It displays that he had no shortage of affection for his wife and respect for her as well. In fact, he didn't want her to come in the forest. However, once he was coronated as a king, he had his dharma towards his citizens. To be a king is a seat of glory, but with every seat comes a responsibility. And Ram has to uphold that responsibility and also convey the ideal of a king who values the well-being of all his citizens. If they lose faith in him, he will not be able to discharge his duties to them. So seeing that this kind of talk was going on, where a washerman was creating insinuations, he decided that this dharma is more important, this is less important. Now you may dispute it, but then that is a question of perspective. Further, when it comes to the pastimes of God, we need to keep another point in mind, that God's Leelas are not all comprehensible to the material intellect. If they were, then there would be no difference between him and us. There was one Indian who came to America who, in the time of the British had created an environ of making the Indians look up to them. So one Indian royalty went to visit somebody aristocrat in England. They sat down at the table for eating. So the Britisher, at the end, the milk was served. He poured a little of the milk from the cup into the saucer. The Indian thought, this is the appropriate thing. I should also pour a little into the saucer. The Britisher lowered the saucer below the table. The Indian thought, I am not so aware of the procedures. So this may be the etiquette. He also lowered it. The Britisher then lowered it and placed it on the floor. And his dog came and started lapping it up. He was offering it to his dog. And this guy was not understanding, blindly copying. Likewise, God is God. Okay? So humbleness is required. The humbleness that I have such a tiny intellect, then we surrender the intellect. And that is when bhakti begins. So Sri Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam. Arjun, if you can accept my birth was divine and my pastimes were divine, you will not come back in this world again. Because then with faith you will do bhakti. Otherwise these doubts will completely sabotage bhakti. Right? So the choice is, do you choose to have faith or not? That choice has to be made.